There once was a union maid, she never was afraid of goons and ginks and company finks and the deputy chefs who made the raid. She went to the union hall when a meeting it was called. When the Legion boys are coming around, she's always stood her ground. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die.
We're here today in front of the British consulate in solidarity with the action of the UNITE Union Felixstowe Dockworkers. They went on strike yesterday for wage increases, and they're fighting for living wages. Some of their members can't even survive. And joining us,
George Romero, pensioner from the ILWU Local 10. We're aware of our brothers and sisters in Felixstowe, the situation they're in, and they can count on 100% full support from us here in the United States. We appreciate it. We know you're justified in what you're looking for, and just keep after it. You'll be successful.
And these companies, these shipping companies, have made tremendous profits, like the PMA and the shipping companies and stevedoring companies, yet they don't want to come up with what workers are asking, including ILWU.
No, that's not a new situation. That's the way it's always been. They don't want to give you anything, no matter what condition they're in. They happen to be in a real good position right now in terms of how they've exploited this pandemic and the situation in the world to line their pockets, but that doesn't change how they approach negotiations and the working people all around the world.
And dock workers are facing similar issues, privatization. They're trying to privatize the Port of Oakland, advertise and basically use the privatization to try to destroy the unions. Do you think there's a problem internationally?
Yes, it's a problem internationally. First of all, in the places where the workers have been able to have a union, they're under attack. Other places where the union workers can't even get a union, they're being totally exploited. And in addition to all the situations that are facing workers all over the world, no matter what industry there's automation and replacement of workers. And where's all that money that's being produced by automation going to go? Unless the workers can get some share of it, they're going to be left kicked to the side, and that's going to be it. So it's very important what's going on in the world right now, and the working people, I think, are aware of it, and they're beginning to realize that they have no choice but to stand up and demand a fair share for what they produce in this world and what they make possible for everybody to enjoy.
And the British government, the Tory government, which is in power, some of the ministers say they want to outlaw strikes, or they want to make it difficult for workers to strike. In the United States, you have the Taft-Hartley and other laws preventing workers from striking. What do you think about the anti-labor kind of threats that are being made against workers?
It's continual.
Our next speaker is Ricardo Ortiz, who's a labor internationalist from Puerto Rico and has been struggling for the independence of Puerto Rico against the attack on the Puerto Rican working class. It's a colony of the United States, and Britain, of course, has a lot of colonies too. So it's not new, but this is a U.S. colony. Puerto Rico is a U.S. colony, and right now there are terrible measures taken against the working class, the poor in Puerto Rico. Privatization of health care, privatization of the electricity, destruction of the public services, the privatization of the health care, which was done actually by Andy Stern and the SEIU union bureaucracy, who actually privatized it and turned it to private companies where SEIU members could be in those. So it's a dues collection agency. It's part of labor imperialism that's going on. And the U.S. AFL-CIO, unfortunately, is supporting privatization around the world. In fact, they get $75 million a year from the National Endowment for Democracy for their Solidarity Center. So welcome, Ricardo.
As we all know, this fight that the United workers in the United Kingdom are waging is because of the attacks of the capitalist class against these poor workers and other workers in the United Kingdom. We know that the United Kingdom is ruled right now by the Tory neoliberal pro-capitalist government. But it's not much different with the so-called New Labour, that was led by Tony Blair and its successors. They have been involved in the war business, the Labourites. They supported and went to war against the people of Iraq in the 2000s, in that manufactured war of the United States and NATO against the Iraqi people. So this is just a continuation of more of the same, as we know. Now, like Steve said, the United Kingdom is an imperialist country. The British corporations, banks, they do have a whole bunch of investments around the world, and they extract surplus value from the backs of workers from all over the world. And right there in the Caribbean, the British, they do have colonies. They have the so-called British Virgin Islands. They have some other islands, and also down to the south, in South America, they have what they call the so-called Falkland Islands, which, the Falkland is just acts like a point of NATO and the EU in a presence in South America to keep, seaways open at the behest of all the imperialist powers that get their commodities through those sea lines. So in the past, when there was this heroic struggle of the British miners in the 80s, the British government had the MI6, which is the equivalent of the American CIA, to try to set up some, sort of manufactured evidence to try to implicate the miners in some sort of manufactured case. That's as bad as British imperialism can be for you. And please step back, if you don't mind. Nothing is it is to be expected from the British imperialists. The British imperialists are involved in Africa. They got countries in Africa indebted to Barclays and other financial institutions that exploit African working class, African workers. So we stand right here and we say victory for the Unite workers in the UK, and victory for workers everywhere. So we do not expect less or more. We say one thing, there is an economic crisis falling all over us. And that is not just in this country, it's all over the world, because it's a capitalist system that rules over us. It's a systematic crisis. And they are attacking the working class from left and right. So we gotta, as well as the imperialists and the capitalists, got their own international united fronts, their own international associations, cartels, and all these anti-workers organizations. They got popular fronts like the IMF, the World Bank, all these institutions where they make deals among themselves to exploit people around the world. We have to ourselves build international workers' parties. And we got to do, as opposed to their crazy reactionary coalitions, we have to do united fronts internationally, in here, everywhere, and build revolutionary workers' parties that will overthrow this capitalist system. Otherwise, they will keep beating us. But history has shown that if we organize, we can win. We can, prevail. So I just want to end by saying, workers of the world, unite. Victory for the Unite workers in the UK.